Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, the Monday, February 24th edition of the Daily Pulse. We're kicking off a new week here in Inside Lowell and throughout Lowell and the rest of the world, and we kick it off with our Daily Pulse episode here where we take a look at the Mill City and the world around it, and we've got a lot to look at today. I'm your host, 𝗕𝗶𝗴𝘆, coming here from the WellPoint Studios. We're going to do a solo show for today, and we have dubbed it, thanks to my friend, legendary radio troll, 𝗕𝗶𝗴𝘆 𝗠𝐺𝗵. We're dubbing it Big Mouth Monday. Since I'm the only one here, I'm the big mouth. We're going to do our best to keep you up to date and honing in on some of the issues affecting the Mill City, and we're going to get to all of them in a quick moment here. Just let me first thank our sponsors. Of course, the sponsor of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse is Real Estate Ray Booten, licensed RE/MAX realtor in Massachusetts and New Hampshire. He's a certified appraiser in both of those states as well. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, a commercial property, Real Estate Ray Booten is your man. Find him online, realestaterayBooten.com. Thank you as well to our friends at WellPoint for hosting us here in the WellPoint Studios. WellPoint is the only health plan offering healthcare benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Thanks to WellPoint, thanks to Real Estate Ray Booten. We got a bunch of other sponsors to thank as well. But let's get rolling here today. We're going to go really all over the world. We're going to head to Germany. We're going to head to Beacon Hill in Boston. But we're going to start right here in the Mill City with the big news this morning in Lowell. And if you got caught in that traffic in downtown, and there still may be some leftover of it, this is the reason why. A 3-alarm fire on Central Street in downtown Lowell broke out early this morning, I believe a little bit before 5 o'clock, and it got pretty intense. To the best of my knowledge, Central Street is still closed from Market up towards Appleton Street. You can see the block where the fire occurred there. That's the old, that's the corner of Central and Jackson Street, which heads perpendicular off to the left there. That's the old Ray Robinson's Diner, if you remember it. Was also the scene, they did some filming of the movie The Fighter in that diner, but the building that apparently caught fire was, I guess, in the old Saab building. And it looked like it started down in the basement. Let me see if I can call up some videos here. But first, the first shot we're going to call up here, and by the way, these videos, this photograph was sent to our Inside Lowell Facebook page from somebody who lives in that neighborhood, said that's the view out their window. The video was taken by a gentleman named Matthew Gregoire, and he was a retired firefighter, I believe, from Rhode Island, and he posted it on Twitter. We saw it, we started sharing it in the morning, and we've downloaded the video here, so thank you to Matthew for sending this footage on over. But here's a kind of a better look, so you can see here, heavy smoke coming out of what looks like the basement. There you see the camera goes back out of the building that it's in. Again, that is the Saab building. To the left is H&R Block. Not sure exactly what's to the right. I think there's a cell phone store in that on that first floor. But you can see the heavy smoke coming from what looks like the basement. I understand the state fire marshal is on the scene, and they are start the investigation to see what started that fire. We also understand that one individual was taken from that scene with injuries to the hospital. No updates yet on that person's conditions, but we'll continue to keep an eye out for you and give it there. But again, that fire started early this morning, I believe a little bit before 5 o'clock on Central Street, the block between Jackson Street and looks like Hurd Street is kind of coming in from the other side, Market Street at the other end, but the street was closed off. Traffic was a nightmare. There's a charter school there on Jackson Street, as you all know, and traffic is heavy. Anyway, at that time of morning, there was a tremendous spillover onto Dutton Street and Market Street and every other street kind of that fed in there or people kind of used to cut through there. So that is why it was occurring. And again, we'll get you some more videos here if we can. This one is a angle. This is the angle that we showed you already. This one is a little tighter shot here, and it shows the fire coming out from the basement. Basically, the heroic firefighters coming back. Not a job for the fire department. These folks are literally right there. It looks like they're pumping a hose of water down into that building. I don't know if firefighters enter the building to go down there, but from there it looks like they're kind of pouring water down into the basement there. We have one more angle here again from and this shows you kind of the sidewalk. There's something idea as well. One was going on yellow and orange flames and as the camera goes out, you see a little bit more of the scene. And some folks have said that was the old it certainly was in that block, exactly which door was in, what buildings were affected, and where the fire started, and everything, and spread to, we don't know. It looks like it started in the basement, but that was the scene right early this morning, and setting it up in downtown Lowell. Thank you again, Matthew 𝗗𝗶𝗆, for posting that footage on Twitter, allowing us to share it on Twitter and on Facebook, and also for using it here on the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse. Again, we hope the person taken to the hospital is going to be okay. We don't have any updates on that person's conditions, but we certainly hope for the best there, and we hope that nobody else was injured, and we hope none of the firefighters dealt with anything serious as well with the injuries there. Hopefully it does appear that the fire is under control as I came in here a little bit mid-morning on Monday, but they still have the road cleared up. Also, thankfully, it's a nice 40, it's going to be a 40 some odd degree day and warm here. If we had the extreme freezing temps and winds from the last couple of weeks, you were going to have some really frozen areas out there. So thankfully, today is a mild day, made it a little bit easier for the men and women of the Lowell Fire Department to fight that blaze. Also going to make it a little bit easier for the cleanup. All right, let's head over from downtown Lowell over to Beacon Hill, because one of the big news stories last week was everybody's upset about their heating bills, including Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey. She's launched an investigation to find out why National Grid, Eversource, and everybody else is charging so much on their gas bills. Is she investigating herself? Is Governor Maura Healey going to investigate herself? Because I can help her. The beginning and end of where that investigation should be is right in the governor's office, or maybe back a little to the Attorney General's office when she stood in there. For those who don't know, now, Governor Healey made a big deal out of it in the media last week. She's going to talk to them. She's going to call in the execs from these companies and find out why they're charging so much and so on and so forth. And then she announced, well, we've got them to agree to a 5% rate reduction for the next couple of months, the last 2 winter months. A 5% rate reduction. Woohoo! Woohoo! Give you an example. My gas bill is $800 total. Gas plus the delivery charges. Now, we're told the delivery charges is where the costs have really skyrocketed and gone through the roof. But just for the sake of this argument, to show you how inconsequential what the governor did and how sneaky what she did is as well, I'll give you an example. $800 my gas bill, a little bit north of that the last couple of months, but that's my gas bill at the house. 5%. Do some math. 800 times 5%. $40. I'm getting $40 off my gas bill. It's going down to $760 for the next couple of months if we're going to use that $800 baseline. Now, again, I think it's the discount is just off the delivery charge, but hey, let's $40. Except what the governor didn't trumpet in her statement was, well, National Grid and Eversource and everybody else who's giving us the 5% reduction is going to be able to recoup that money in the spring and summer. And maybe with interest. Yeah, that's right. They're not losing. She's not taking any money out of National Grid's pocket, all right? Or whoever your gas supplier is. They're going to take that money. They're going to get their $40 from me and whatever that amount is from you, and they might be able to tack on some interest as well for deferring this money. She didn't get them to cut their rates. She's lying if she says that to you. She got them to defer the collection. And in the meantime, while they defer, do the math. 800 from me, 800 from my neighbor on that side, 800 from my neighbor on that side, 800 from you. Add it up. You're talking millions of dollars that they're going to be able to collect interest on. She just made more money for the National Grid stakeholders and everybody else. All in the guise of saving you a few bucks because she cares. She cares. Governor Maura Healey cares. So why'd the rates go so high in the first place? Well, we offered a little hint, right? It's delivery charges. Costs X amount of dollars, National Grid, Eversource say, to deliver. I'm just going to use National Grid from now on because that's our supplier here in Greater Lowell. But it costs X amount of dollars for them to deliver the gas to you, and they're going to get their pound of flesh for it, so to speak. They propose rate hikes every year. They go to the board, I believe the Department of Public Utilities, and they propose, hey, here's the cost. Here's what it's costing us for the gas. Here's what it's costing us to deliver it. This is what we want to charge this year, this winter, or spring, summer, whatever. And then there may be a little bit of negotiation that goes on there, but then the rates are approved. So the governor, or people working for the governor, told National Grid they could charge you those rates. They gave them the okay. They gave them the thumbs up. You can charge this for the winter. And then when the shit hit the fan and people got to look at their energy bill, then all of a sudden the governor got concerned. And we went through this, I'm going to investigate them. I'm going to look into this. We're going to call them back and we're going to fix this right now. She didn't fix it. I told you what she did. She deferred your payments. You know why? Because they're not really gouging you. They're charging you the increased cost of fuel delivery to Massachusetts, the increased cost of gas, and delivering that gas to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You shut off all these little gas pipelines and LNG tankers, whatever coming in. You champion the woke agenda. You know it's going to increase prices for the consumer, and you don't care. Governor Healey didn't care when she did it. She bragged about it. She bragged about it, knowing full well what it was going to do. You don't believe me? Well, let's go back to a little video. Firefighter video. But let's put all this stuff on hold. And let's listen to Governor Maura Healey. Shall we?
Remember, I stopped 2 gas pipelines from coming into this state. Remember, I stopped 2 gas pipelines from coming into this state. Remember, I stopped 2 gas pipelines from coming into this state. Remember, I stopped
2 gas pipelines from coming into the state. Then candidate Maura Healey bragged as she was running. I believe that was taken when she was running for governor. And she had a challenger, Sonia Chang Diaz, and she wanted to outwoke her challenger and brag about look how concerned I am about climate change, folks. I'm going to help save Massachusetts and maybe the planet by extension by jacking up your energy rates. Remember, quote, remember, I stopped 2 pipeline projects. Those pipeline projects were bringing gas from the north. I believe Canada, down through Maine. I don't know if they were cutting through Vermont or New Hampshire, but then coming to Massachusetts. Where do we get our gas from now? I'm told by some folks, if you look around, you'll see it on some of the infrastructure. Tennessee. It's a long haul from Tennessee, isn't it? Much farther than Maine. It's a much less direct path. So Governor Maura Healey, candidate Maura Healey, brags about shutting off 2 pipelines. And then she doesn't know why. She needs to investigate why National Grid is charging you so much for your gas. What a fraud. What a fraud. And then she thinks you're stupid. She thinks you're so stupid that you're going to cheer the 5% rate reduction for 2 months, but completely forget that they're going to jack up your rate. You're going to pay more in March, April, May, June, whenever those dates are. You're going to pay more, and she's going to further enrich National Grid. She's going to let them charge interest. Folks, you're being had. You're being had. And this whole green movement, it's costing you a lot of green. It's costing you a lot of green. You are paying more for your heating bill, more for your electric bill, etc., because of this entire green movement. They cannot supply enough. They're cutting off the stuff that they have enough of to keep your house heated and warm and electrified. And what does it all do? It's jacking up your costs. That's why your heating bill is as expensive as it is. That's why I'm paying $800 when I used to pay $600 in the winter months. But she's going to save me 5%. Is she going to brag? She said she's going to run for governor again. Is she going to brag about those 2 pipelines she shut down? You think she'll use that in the 2026 gubernatorial campaign? If a Democrat challenges her in the primary, maybe. But you think she'll use that against a Republican challenger in November? She going to brag about that pipeline? Man, they think you're stupid. They think you're stupid. That's what they do. And they just feed you this stuff. And it's so obvious and it's so blatant. And this, all you have to do is look around social media. Don't trust the mainstream media. I don't know if anyone's reported that to you, but other sources have. Look around, find this out, and you'll realize you're being had. And you'll realize why you're being had, all in the name of the climate god. And they don't care until it becomes politically troublesome, right? She didn't care. She knew. She bragged about it, right? Remember a couple of years back when then City Councilor Karen Cirillo was chairing an energy subcommittee meeting in the city of Lowell or whatever that subcommittee is? And do you remember the climate activists who took over the Lowell City Council chambers? Chanting, singing, disrupted the meeting. It was a meeting where National Grid representatives were speaking about a project in the city of Lowell. And they shut down that meeting. And the Council Cirillo, whether she knew what was going to happen or not, or whether she allowed it to happen or not, I don't know. She caught a lot of heat for that politically. And ultimately, she no longer became Councilor Cirillo. Because people remember. People remember that. I hope you remember that in 2026, folks. I hope you remember it every single election. I hope you remember it here locally. If anybody continues to push some of this nonsense that's jacking up your heating bills. Get green energy to the level where working men and women can afford it and it doesn't break the bank for them, and then we can implement it. Until that point, you're hurting working people. You're hurting poor people. You're hurting minorities, a lot of whom live below that middle-class poverty line. You're hurting everybody who is in the lower income brackets, all in the name of this climate god that the left worships and Governor Healey was worshiping until the shit hit the fan. Pardon my French. But folks, this is what they're doing to you. Be aware of it. Be aware of it and push back on it. Tell them no. Tell them no. No matter how well-intentioned this is, no matter how well-intentioned you are, it's costing you money. The wealthy folks can afford this. The folks in Concord, Carlisle, with their nice solar panels and all that, they can afford it. Out in Brookline, Mass, they can afford it. What's another couple of $100 on their energy bill? They can piss that money away. Can you? Can you in Lowell with your average income? With your median household income? Can you afford that? Get smart. Get smart. Think. You're tuned into the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse. It's Monday, February 24th, 2025. We're going to get back to our discussion, including an interesting Lowell City Council agenda. that, oh darn, I forgot to upload those little graphics. Anyway, I'll read them for you anyway. But first, I want to thank our sponsors, of course, 𝗕𝗶𝗴𝘆, licensed realtor, Massachusetts and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both of those states as well. So if you're looking to buy or sell homes, commercial properties, real estate, 𝗕𝗶𝗴𝘆 is your man. Thank you as well to our friends at WellPoint. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Washington Savings Bank, banking that feels like home. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, quality and value at every price point. Find your perfect space with TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire since 1925. Mahoney Oil, they're reliable. Greater Lowell Community Foundation, improving the quality of life in Greater Lowell through impactful strategic philanthropy. Francis E. Preventure Insurance, the agency you've counted on since 1982. And by the Massachusetts Pirates, bringing all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football to the Mill City. And with that, as we're talking about the Mill City, let's bring it to tomorrow night, Tuesday night's Lowell City Council agenda. And I want to do this on this Big Mouth Monday. Intentionally left us without a guest because I want to look at that Lowell City Council agenda. A little bit later on today, we're going to be interviewing Congresswoman Lori Trahan, and we will run that interview. That interview will be pre-recorded but run as tomorrow's Inside Lowell Daily Pulse. So watch for that to drop at noon. She's in the area today. She's doing a town hall tomorrow night. So we'll get into that and a lot of the issues that Congresswoman Trahan is working on in D.C. And of course, we'll talk about the constant back and forth taking place there by the people who run our country. But that'll be tomorrow at noon, dropping at noon. Today, we're going to look at that city council meeting that will take place tomorrow night. And if you like chickens, if you like backyard chickens, get all excited because there's a motion on the council agenda to bring back backyard chickens, or at least to look at it. The motion co-filed by Councilors Paul Ratayem and 𝗕𝗶𝗴𝘆, respectively, of the Acre and the Lower Highlands neighborhood. It's about 12 years since this issue last became a thing. If you remember your political history, your Mill City political history, in 2013, then City Councilor Joe Mendonça brought up a similar motion, and it didn't go very well. There was a lot of opposition to the backyard chickens. In a city like Lowell, that's not a rural community, though it does have some rural neighborhoods, right? You go out in parts of Pawtucketville, hell, even parts of the Highlands and Centerville, right? You might have some big lots, big backyards and whatnot. But the city of Lowell is pretty well crowded, and the pushback was, we don't want to do this. It's going to create issues. It's going to create public health issues. It's going to create rats. It's going to attract rats, and so on and so forth. Good timing, by the way, since we did away with rodenticide, right? One of the rat poisons that's used to control rats. Interesting timing on this motion. But for me, this issue hit even closer to home because in the spring of 2018, my wife and I, we bought our home in Chelmsford. And shortly thereafter, there was a huge to-do in the town of Chelmsford, which is a little bit more rural than Lowell, not as crowded as Lowell. A street known as Buckman Drive. There were a couple of sisters who lived in a house and they had backyard chickens. And the neighbors lost their mind. They said they were trapping dozens of rats. There were dozens, if not hundreds of rats that they couldn't trap, that they were just kind of escaping. But they claimed that their neighborhood had been infested with rats because of backyard chickens. Councilors Yem and Chow, I don't know what's going to come of this motion. I don't know what the Lowell Health Department's going to say about this motion. I don't know what the folks in those neighborhoods are going to say. Do they want them? Do they not want backyard chickens? Is Lowell the right place? Is there a right neighborhood in Lowell to allow them? Can you allow them in one neighborhood? Can you not allow them in another? I assume you can place some kind of a lot size restriction because that exists now, I believe. I believe some folks are allowed to have them. Funny story. Some new neighbors bought the house next to my sister out in Andover, as I like to call it. Huge, huge $1.8 million house. It was back on the market. But they had backyard chickens. And within 2 weeks, those backyard chickens were all over my sister's yard, driveway, doing what chickens do, pooping, whatnot, getting chased and caught by other neighborhood dogs that happened to run loose. But it was a comical situation. Didn't make my sister all that happy. She was not even though my sister was, born in the villages of Greece, as I like to tease her, and probably had backyard chickens when she was 1-2 years old before coming to America. She didn't like the backyard chickens in Andover. She didn't pay $1 million for a house to have backyard chickens. That'll be a fun motion tomorrow night, because there are advocates for this. And from what I understand, there are people who, because they can't have backyard chickens, they're doing like makeshift chicken coops in their cabinets and putting cages and stuff in there. That's what I'm hearing from some folks, from some neighbors who are none too happy about this situation. But the backyard chicken debate is back in the city of Lowell. And before we wrap up this Big Mouth Monday, as we're dubbing it, thank you, 𝗕𝗶𝗴 for giving me a thing. We have Big Mouth Monday, Trigger 'em Tuesday, Wing It Wednesday, and Thrilling Thursdays, I think. I think those are the titles of our shows. We'll have to come up for a Friday. I just worry about the alliteration with Friday and F. There's another motion that caught my attention, and I think it's potentially, depending on what comes of this motion, going to catch the attention of some folks outside of Lowell, maybe. But it's a motion by Councilors Vesna Nun and Wayne Jeunesse to kind of look at DEI in Lowell. And the motion, unless I'm mistaken, I want to read the motion in its entirety just to make sure that I have it correct here and I'm not misquoting anything that the councilors have written. But I apologize for looking away from you in the camera, but I was supposed to upload one of these graphics on there, and then I'm an idiot. I forgot. Don't get old, people. This is what will happen to you if you get old. But the motion, let me read. Okay, so first the motion by Councilors Yem and Shah was motion 4.10 on the agenda. Request city manager have appropriate department explore and report on a potential ordinance allowing residents to own and raise chickens similar to regulations in other municipalities for review and discussion by the entire council. So that's that motion that I was just talking about. The motion from Councilor Nun and Jeunesse, 4.6. Request city manager work with the DEI officer to provide summary report of activities, training/workshops, and other opportunities made available to city employees and how these have increased engagement, what policies and practices are currently in place, and how are they monitored, who collaborates to develop said policies and practices. Again, on the surface, yeah, they're looking for a report. How's Lowell doing in its diversity hiring? Except, do we see what's happening in Washington, D.C.? Agree or disagree with what the new administration at the White House is doing, President Trump's administration, and their DEI policies, which are a complete reversal of the Biden administration, and quite frankly, a complete reversal from what a lot of cities, towns have been doing here in Massachusetts, along with the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And the president's administration has basically said, these aren't allowed anymore. These are illegal. Executive order passed. DEI, discrimination based on DEI, which DEI was meant to kind of erase discrimination or to make up for discrimination. Some folks will tell you DEI is reverse discrimination, AKA discrimination in a different outfit. Regardless of what you think on this, you probably know where I stand. I'm not here to debate that. if you support DEI initiatives, and clearly Councilors Noon and Janess do, is it wise to file this motion? What's it going to accomplish? You're going to get a report? There's an orange-haired ogre in Washington, D.C., who's telling you if you don't cut this out with this DEI stuff, you're going to jeopardize your funding. And we know people in Lowell are concerned about their funding, right? We're going to talk about, Congresswoman Trahan, about the potential danger of the Rourke Bridge funding, right? With the whole ban on federal money going out to USAID and other places, right? She was at the Merrimack Valley Food Bank last week, talking about concerns that, hey, they're going to start to lose some of their food money, pantry money, et cetera, all this stuff. So you're concerned about losing money from Washington, D.C. for these things. So why are you calling attention to this? What's the point? You got the Boston Police Commissioner saying we're not going to cooperate with immigration officials, ICE. Tom Homan, the border czar, says, well, we're going to Boston and we're bringing hell with us. Okay, it's going to be fought, all right? There's going to be legal battles over this. I get it. Why do you want to be in that legal battle? Maybe you'll win it eventually, right? Maybe long-term you'll win this battle. But why would you do anything to call attention to yourself? Why would the city of Lowell, why would the Lowell Public Schools, why would your colleges, your universities, and other entities do anything to call attention to those three letters, DEI? The climate's not on that side right now, folks. Nationally, the polling shows you that most of the American people are done with it. They're done with this whole DEI movement. In Massachusetts, I don't know, we haven't seen polling here in Massachusetts. Maybe UMass Lowell can conduct a poll and tell us what Massachusetts residents feel. But I haven't seen anything about it. But nationally, this movement is dead. And nationally, you have a president of the United States who's saying, we're going to start holding back your money. Don't have this debate. Don't have this debate in public. Refer it to some committee. Better yet, just have a private conversation with the manager and the administration. Just say, hey, how are we doing with this? I don't want to call attention to it, but it's important to me, right? Clearly it's important to Councilors Noon and Janess. And clearly having a workforce that looks diverse like your city population, it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Whether you can force it when there aren't enough applicants, do you do outreach? Is that discriminatory? I don't know these legal ramifications. At some point in the next 4 years, the United States Supreme Court will weigh in on this. But until they do you know that the lower court judges are going to side with you? Because there were a bunch of cases of executive orders that they put temporary halts on with the Trump administration, and within a week, those were overthrown at upper levels of courts. Hell, even the judges that originally put some of those temporary holds on Trump administration executive orders, they've basically said, yeah, you know what? You haven't proven your point. It's back on. Why are we doing this? Leave it alone. You can have this conversation in quiet. Go into the manager's office, have a conversation in quiet. Maybe they'll even give you the report privately and you can see what's going on. And maybe you can advocate privately. But for the time being, I don't think it makes any sense. I really don't think it makes any sense to call attention to these things. Why is the Boston Police Commissioner mouthing off and calling attention to Boston's ICE policies? There's clearly a constitutional pecking order when it comes to certain types of law enforcement, and immigration is the purview of the federal government. Again, what level do the courts say the states can have any interaction here? But there is a very real possibility that your ICE policies in Boston or your DEI policies in Lowell, which Lowell has a DEI official, there's a title there. 𝗕𝗶𝗴 𝗠tože is a DEI officer in Lowell, coordinator. We talked about it with Councilor Gitchier when he sat in that chair last week. He's like, you know, when are we going to get to addressing this given what's happening in Washington, D.C.? Again, probably not a good idea to make that public. Address it quietly behind the scenes. Make your motion to do whatever you have to do, whether it's to change the title, make that part of the Human Resources Office, reassign whatever. My thing would change the title. Just change. I don't want anybody to get laid off. Just change the title, and get the focus away from that and into something that's not going to call attention up in Washington, D.C. There's a guy was Trump's right-hand man for a long period of time and is still in his inner circle of advisors, certainly during campaign season, but also while he's been in the White House, both the first term and in this term. His name is 𝗕𝗶𝗴. He's from Lowell. He talks to people in Lowell. He don't call attention to this. Leave it alone. Just, it's like when you're doing something illegal, right? If you're driving an unregistered vehicle, why the hell would you put illegal lighting on it or tint your windows so dark that, police can't see in? Or why would you speed or rev up your motor so loudly that you're calling attention to yourself? If you're doing something that may be illegal, is on the border, some folks might think it's illegal, but the courts haven't ruled yet. Don't call attention to it. Just have that conversation in private. That's my advice. I hope some of the city councilors kind of feel the same way. I hope, and I know, Councilors Noonan and Janess, they're well-intentioned. They love the city. They may differ with me on DEI policies and whether it's good or bad and whatnot, but they all want a better city, right? That's what we all want. We all want a better city of Lowell. And they're making motions that they think will improve the city of Lowell, that they think will appease their supporters, many of whom care about this stuff. But the smart course of action here is to just kind of brush it under the table for now. Let other people risk their funding. Trust me, there will be people in New York. There'll be people in Illinois, right? There'll be people in California. You'll probably have people in Boston, if not other parts of Massachusetts, who are going to push these limits and end up in a legal battle with the federal government that will ultimately go to the Supreme Court. How many of these battles need to be fought? Does Lowell need to be part of the battle? Is it about virtue signaling, or is it about making a better city? Do we want a virtue signal, or do we want to make a better city? I believe the two councils want to make a better city. I think this motion's misguided. Again, that's motion 4.6, and it's on the city council agenda tomorrow night. All right, that wraps up our Big Mouth Monday edition of the Daily Pulse. Tomorrow we're gonna talk to Congresswoman Lori Trahan. We're actually talking to her today, but we'll upload that as tomorrow's Daily Pulse. It'll drop at noon on Wednesday. City Councilor 𝗕𝗶𝗴 𝗠tože will be here. We'll recap the meeting and see, we'll have a little more info on that, plus what he's doing out in his district in Belvedere, District 3. On Thursday, Leslie Boder, my old radio partner in crime, is going to join us. The glory days of the morning show that I used to host. We called it the TLC show. Teddy, Leslie, and Chris Pouvlon. We had so much fun in those years. We were literally talking to presidential candidates, including the orange-haired ogre that many of you detest. But it'd be great to have Leslie sitting in here in studio with me and talking about what's going on in the world. Friday, we're still working on, but it's a busy week. Every week is a busy week here on the Daily Pulse. So I want to thank you for joining us for this edition of the Daily Pulse. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from it. If you want to leave some feedback, you're welcome to do so on our YouTube channel, on Facebook, anywhere that InsideLowell pushes its content. We'd love to hear your feedback, and we'd love to read it during a future show. So till tomorrow, everybody stay safe. Enjoy this great day and try to avoid downtown Central Street area until you get the all clear that the streets have been reopened again from this early morning fire. Till tomorrow morning, everybody stay safe.